It's a great pleasure for me. My name is Patricia Lorenzoni. It's a great pleasure for me to introduce the first of 4 lectures on revolution and dissidence that we will have here. And you can find information of the following lectures on the web pages of Clandestino and Glenta. Today we have here Nawal El Saadawi, and in the beginning of this year we could see her on the Tahrir Square in Cairo together with the masses of people demanding democratic change and the resign of then President Mubarak. Nawal El Saadawi has 5 decades of intense feminist political and social commitment. She's a physician, psychiatrist, university teacher, and always an uncompromising writer speaking out against political, patriarchal, and neo-colonial oppression. Now, over the years, several attempts have been made to silence this voice. In 1972, Nawal El Saadawi lost her job at the Egyptian Ministry of Health as a result of the publication of the book Woman and Sex, which spoke out against female genital mutilation and political and economic oppression. In the 1980s, she was imprisoned by the Sadat regime, and in the 1990s, the Egyptian government closed down her Arab Women Solidarity Association, and later in that decade, Nawal El Saadawi had to spend several years in exile from political persecution and death threats from radical Islamist groups. There have been several attempts over the years in Egypt to ban her books and legally charge her of apostasy and heresy. Nawal El Saadawi is the author of more than 40 books, including numerous short stories, novels, plays, and works of non-fiction. Her work has been translated into more than 30 languages. She has been teaching at numerous prestigious universities in Egypt and abroad, including Duke University, Cairo University, and Sorbonne. She has also received several awards, including the 2004 North-South Prize by the Council of Europe. Now, I cannot think of anyone more suitable to talk to us about the theme of today, creativity, women, and dissidence, than Nawal El Saadawi. She has lived her life under those signs, and it's a great privilege and a great honor to sit here today and together with you welcome her to Gothenburg. And before we welcome her with an applause, I just wish to remind you all that please turn off your cell phone if you haven't already done that, and let's listen to Nawal El Saadawi, and afterwards we'll have a moment for questions from the audience.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for inviting me to this wonderful Gothenburg, which I like very much. I came here several times. It's a very famous city, very famous, even more famous than Stockholm. Because people come here, there is usually the literary festival, you know, there is a lot of intellectual activities in Gothenburg. So there is something special about Gothenburg. I don't know what. But anyway, I am very happy to be here today, though I am extremely exhausted. But still, when I'm speaking, my energy comes back, you know. I don't know from where, but sometimes I'm really collapsing and dying. And then when I sit on stage like that, energy comes. It is the communication between people, and that's what we need. In fact, especially now, the revolution in Egypt is not only in Egypt or in Tahrir Square. It's universal, everywhere. Maybe you read about revolution in New York, in Wisconsin, Wall Street, Square Union, in Spain, in Italy, everywhere, not only in Egypt or Tunisia or Bahrain or Yemen, it's everywhere. Maybe the revolution will come to Gothenburg and Sweden. Hopefully, I hope. Because we are living in one world And in fact, it is not a world, it's not a human world, it is a jungle, really. And we have to be clear and blunt like that. The universal law is not just. A superpower can go and invade another country, like Iraq or Palestine, or any country, or Egypt, or any. We are still colonized. And they can come, kill you, take your oil, your resources, and be heroes. And they take a Nobel Prize for invading you, you know. Obama took a Nobel Prize. I don't know for what. I don't know. He took a Nobel Prize, Obama. So what I would like to say, that we are living in one world dominated by the same system, the capitalist, patriarchal, military, racist system against women and against the poor. And we are living in this world, so we have to revolt together. I'm not astonished that the revolution is everywhere, from the United States to Cairo, everywhere. Of course, the degree of oppression in Gothenburg or in Sweden is not like the degree of oppression in Egypt in relation to women or the poor. But here in Sweden, the immigrants suffer a lot. If we look at the laws of immigration here, we can see how many, many people in Sweden, in Europe, in France, in Britain, how many people immigrating suffer economically, sexually, socially. That's why we have to feel that we are all in the same boat. I am not speaking you as somebody coming from Egypt to somebody living in Sweden. No, we live in one world and we have to fight together. We need to fight together. We need the revolution together. We need to revolt and change the system together. And without working together, we will never succeed. And that's why I'm very optimistic. Though I came from Cairo yesterday, and you maybe read about the situation in Egypt, what's happening, the burning of the church, the killing of Christians by some of the army power, etc. What's happening in Egypt is a counter-revolution. When we went to Tahrir Square in January, we were millions, men and women, Christians and Muslims, children and adults. We were living together in Tahrir Square, in tents, separate. I was moving between the tents, and we felt one. Not a single church was burned. Not a single girl or a woman was harassed by any man. So we were a very, very peaceful community together with no discrimination by class or gender or religion or anything. And we were living like that day and night until Mubarak left. And now what's happening, harassment of girls by gangs, not by the revolutionary, not by our revolutionary colleagues, men, no, but by gangs. The police of Mubarak regime, they are still in power. In fact, we succeeded in removing only the head of the regime. That's Mubarak. But the body of the regime still there, in the military, in the temporary government, in the media, in education, in NGOs. Even the NGOs in Egypt are invaded by the Mubarak regime, men and women. So what's happening in Egypt is very dangerous. But who is after this? Who is harassing women? Who is secluding women? We are now secluded, you know, there is a tendency to exclude us from public activities. So now we are reorganizing ourselves. We are re-establishing the Egyptian Women Union which was banned by Mubarak regime and Suzanne Mubarak, his wife. So we are feeling the danger that we should unite. Without unity, we cannot win. So we are now reorganizing ourselves as women and men, because we have many young men who were with us in Tahrir Square who are joining the Egyptian Women Union. So the point is not a difference biologically between men and women. When I say I'm a feminist or I'm fighting for women's rights, in fact, I am fighting for human rights, for men and women rights, not only for women. Because in our association, which was banned by the government, the Arab Women Solidarity Association, which was banned in 1991 because we stood against the Gulf War, 45% were men. And maybe in this hall, maybe 50% are men, I don't know. So there is we cannot divide the country or the people by men and women biologically and say this is a man or this is a woman and that the rights of men are different. We cannot say that. There are many women who are more patriarchal and more aggressive and more military than men. And you know them, from Thatcher to Merkel to Hillary Clinton. You know those women who work for patriarchy and for capitalism. And there are many men who are fighting against class oppression, against gender oppression, against race oppression. So in our Egyptian Women Union, we have a lot of young men and old men with us in the union.